Hey everyone, my name is Hafiz. I'm from Kinobi and I'm here to go through with you Virtual Interviews 101. As all of you know, COVID-19 has hit, but the hiring hasn't stopped, and all companies are resorting to virtual interviews to get people on board their teams. So let me walk you through 6 different tips to help you ace your next virtual interview. I'll start with 3 basic tips and then go on to 3 more advanced tips. The first basic tip is really test your platform. So make sure you can sign on to the platform, whether that is Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Skype, could even be Google Meets. Whatever it is, make sure that you can sign on 30 minutes before. Really, even though that you might be used to the platform already, it doesn't hurt to be safe. The second thing that you need to do here is essentially also test your internet speed and Wi-Fi 30 minutes before the call. Again, even if you're at home, even if you've been using the internet all day, it just helps to check. And if it isn't working or it's shoddy at that point of time, then you can think about backups, whether that is plugging into your mobile data or going to a cafe nearby instead. Now, the next thing about virtual interviews is to make sure that you choose your environment carefully. If you look at your background, if you're not already using a virtual background, just know that more than 50% of the screen is actually the environment. So a couple of things here. One, make sure that the lighting is really good and that your face is actually very clear and visible to the interviewer. This matters a lot. I've seen way too many Zoom videos where there's a lot of shadow and I can't even see the person I'm speaking to. The next thing is to make sure that there's minimal distractions in the background. What does this mean? It means that do not go to a cafe, do not go to a public space where there might be potentially be lots of people behind you walking around, and that might potentially distract the interviewer. You do not want to distract the interviewer. The interviewer needs to be 100% focused on you throughout the whole course of the interview. The third thing really is simply to look into the camera. While it's very tempting as you're speaking to an interviewer to look at yourself and your own image, please don't do that. Eye contact plays a key role in building relationship with the person you're speaking to. And they say 79% of candidates simply just don't do this well. So if you do this, you'll stand out from the crowd. So those are the basic tips. What are the advanced tips? The advanced tips is really, the first one is make a great first impression, right? And you can do that virtually, surprisingly. So the way to do that is make sure that you are at least 5 to 10 minutes early. And trust me, they'll notice. You'll receive an email coming into their inbox, especially if they're on Zoom, to say that, hey, the interviewee has arrived at 5 to 10 minutes earlier than expected. And that's very much appreciated. The next thing you can do here is to smile always. Once the camera is on, the action is live, even before the interviewer comes, just smile, right? It really makes a difference for an interviewer to see that the candidate is ready and the candidate is already smiling at the start of the interview. Again, I think 95% of people don't do this. So if you do this, you stand out from the crowd all the more. The next thing really is to make sure that you create small talk and make friends with the interviewer as much as possible. Now, this is an age-old tactic, typically present during the old times of physical interviews. But that doesn't mean you can't do this virtually as well. A tip to do this is essentially have a great conversation starter. So for instance, instead of asking, how are you? You can say, how's the firm doing since the launch of product X? How has this impacted you over the past few days? Have you been more busy, less busy? Have you felt as though, there's a lot more initiatives going on around this new launch? Just to give an example. Another tip around this is to also have a very good answer for the very common question, how are you? Right? So how do you respond to how are you? Typically, people will respond, I'm good, I'm great, I'm okay. But I think it doesn't hurt to come up with a way more interesting response to that. An example would be, I'm great. I took a run for the first time this morning for the last 10 months, right? That is something that will stick with the interviewer. It brings out a personality in you that hopefully will make you again stand out from the crowd, from everyone else. The last tip I will share with all of you is essentially do not forget to follow up immediately, right? Within 12 hours of the interview, do send a thank you note. This is true for when things were virtual, when things were physical, but this is also true when things are virtual as well. it really provides the opportunity for you to resell yourself and keep top of mind in terms of the candidate pool within the interviewer's mind. So that's it for all my 6 tips for virtual interviews. I hope everyone has a great journey going forward in terms of their next job search. And I'm sure these 6 tips will help you along the way. Thank you very much and all the best.